Most people think calm people are just born different. Naturally composed, naturally confident, naturally hard to shake. They panic slower. That's it. Same bad news, same pressure, same chaos. One person spirals, the other stays cold. You think that's personality. It's not. It's trait. The average person has a comfort addiction. Warm bed, easy dopamine, constant reassurance, no friction. And life hits once, just once, and they fall apart like cheap furniture. Stoics were different. Roman emperors, soldiers, philosophers, fighters. Pressure didn't scare them. Pressure revealed them. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire while dealing with war, betrayal, disease, and political snakes everywhere. Still wrote to himself like a man in control. Not because life was easier back then, because his mind was harder. And that's the part nobody tells you. Calm is not a trait. It's a system. 3 parts, actually. By the end of this, you'll understand why some people stay steady when everything goes wrong. And you'll never look at stress the same way again. Chapter 1. Your suffering is fake. Not all of it, obviously. But most completely self-manufactured. You're not just feeling pain. You're adding commentary, endless commentary. A bad email comes. Now, your brain says, this is bad. This always happens. I'm behind. I'm failing. What if this gets worse? The event was one punch. Your mind added 10 more. Epictetus said it 2,000 years ago. People are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. Brutal line. Accurate line. Modern psychology says the same thing with fancier language. Cognitive appraisal. The meaning you assign to an event changes your emotional response to it. Same event, different interpretation, different nervous system reaction. This is why 2 people can go through the exact same setback, and one grows stronger while the other becomes dramatic on the internet. Average people think stress comes from life. Wrong. A huge chunk of it comes from interpretation. Psychologist Richard Lazarus built an entire model around this. First, your brain asks, is this a threat? Then it asks, can I handle it? Your whole emotional response gets built on those 2 questions. And most of you answer both questions like idiots. Everything feels like a threat. Every discomfort feels personal. Every inconvenience feels like an attack on your identity. Traffic. Threat. Criticism. Threat. Silence. From someone you like. Threat. A hard task. Threat. No wonder you're exhausted. You turned ordinary life into psychological warfare. Stoics do the opposite. They strip the drama out. Not this is ruining my life. Just this is difficult. Not I'm failing. Just I need a better approach. Not this shouldn't be happening. Just this is happening. That tiny shift changes everything. Researchers in emotional regulation call this cognitive reappraisal. You reinterpret the meaning of a situation before the emotion fully takes over. Studies consistently show it lowers distress and improves self-control better than just suppressing emotion after the fact. Suppression is fake strength. Reappraisal is real strength. That's why Stoics journaled, not because journaling is cute, because writing forces the mind to slow down and separate facts from fiction. Here's the method. When something hits you, write 3 lines. What happened? What story am I adding? What is the more accurate interpretation? Example. What happened? My business idea didn't work. Story I'm adding. I'm not capable. Accurate interpretation. One strategy failed. That's data, not destiny. See the difference? Same reality, less poison. Here's the problem, though. Reframing helps after life hits you. It does not prepare you to handle bigger pain. And that is where the second advantage comes in. Chapter 2. They train suffering on purpose. You avoid discomfort like it's radioactive. Cold shower? No. Hard conversation? Late. Workout? Tomorrow. Phone off for an hour. Somehow impossible. You call this balance. It's not balance. It's weakness with good branding. Stoics had a practice for this. Voluntary discomfort. Sleep on a hard surface sometimes. Eat plain food sometimes. Wear simple clothes sometimes. Walk instead of ride. Choose difficulty before difficulty chooses you. Why? Because comfort makes you fragile. You think confidence comes from positive thinking. Wrong. Confidence comes from evidence that you can handle hard things without breaking. Psychologist Albert Bandura called this self-efficacy. Your belief in your ability grows from mastery experiences, not affirmations, not vision boards, not pretending in the mirror. Proof, do hard thing, survive hard thing. Brain updates identity. That's confidence. Navy training works the same way. Elite performers don't become resilient by reading quotes about resilience. They accumulate reference points. They've been cold before, tired before, embarrassed before, overwhelmed before, and they kept moving. That's why pressure doesn't feel new to them. It feels familiar. Average people live in constant comfort, then expect courage to appear on command. Stupid plan. Your nervous system needs rest. This is also why exposure therapy works. Psychologists use gradual exposure because the brain learns safety through experience, not explanation. Face the thing. Stay with it. Realize you didn't die. Fear drops. The Stoic version is simpler. Make your life slightly harder on purpose every day. Take the stairs. Delay the pleasure. Do the workout first. Leave the phone in another room. Sit with boredom without instantly medicating it with content. You're not punishing yourself. You're expanding your tolerance. And tolerance is power. Because once your brain stops treating discomfort like an emergency, discipline becomes easier. Focus becomes easier. Emotional control becomes easier. You stop negotiating with every small pain. Hit subscribe before you forget. Most people don't need more motivation. They need a higher pain tolerance. Here's a simple drill. Every day, do one thing that is mildly uncomfortable and completely voluntary. One hard task, first thing in the morning. One craving delayed by 30 minutes. One conversation you've been avoiding. One workout when you don't feel like it. Tiny reps, big rewiring. Over time, your identity shifts from I need to feel good to act to I can act whether I feel good or not. That sentence right there changes lives. But here's the thing, though. You can reframe events. You can build discomfort tolerance. And you can still get crushed by life if your identity is weak. That's where the third level starts. Chapter 3. They stop worshipping feelings. This one destroys most people. You trust your feelings way too much. You feel unmotivated, so you don't work. You feel anxious, so you avoid. You feel rejected, so you retreat. You feel behind, so you numb out. Feelings became commands. Bad system. Feelings are signals, not orders. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is not motivational poster nonsense. That is operational intelligence. Your feelings change by the hour. Your principles should not. This is what separates disciplined people from emotional tourists. Disciplined people decide who they are first, then act accordingly. Emotional people ask their mood for permission, and mood is a terrible manager. Modern research on identity-based habits points the same direction. Behavior sticks better when it's tied to identity, not out. Not I want abs. I am someone who trains. Not I want success. I am someone who finishes hard things. When identity leads, behavior follows faster. So stop asking, what do I feel like doing? Ask, what would the strongest version of me do next? That question cuts through noise immediately. Not forever, just next. Because weak people think in fantasies. Strong people think in action. Not, how do I fix my whole life? Just what is the next correct move? Stoics were obsessed with this. Control the control. Ignore the rest. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control people's opinions. You cannot control whether life is fair. You can control whether you tell the truth, whether you train, whether you show up on time, whether you keep your word, whether you stay composed. That's enough. More than enough, actually. Psychologists call this locus of control. The more you focus on what is actually within your control, the more stable and effective you become. External fixation creates helplessness. Internal focus creates action. Average people spend their best energy arguing with reality. Stoics spend their energy responding to it. Huge difference. Here's the practical system. Warning. Ask, what might go wrong today? How will I respond when it does? That's negative visualization, not pessimism. Preparation. Researchers studying mental contrasting found that people do better when they imagine obstacles, not just ideal outcomes. The obstacle stops being a surprise. Your brain already has a plan. Then, during the day, use one sentence. This is the price of the path. Tired? Price of the path? Lonely while building something? Price of the path. Bored during repetition? Price of the path. Criticized for changing? Price of the path. You stop interpreting pain as proof you should quit. You start seeing it as proof that effort costs something. Of course it does. At night, review. Where did I react emotionally? Where did I stay in control? What gets corrected tomorrow? No self-hate, no drama, Just adjust. That is how you build a mind that doesn't collapse every time life gets inconvenient. By the way, I put this into a simple 3-step mindset reset you can turn into a daily routine. Reframe the event. Choose one voluntary discomfort. Act from identity, not mood. That's the whole system. Simple, not easy. And that's why it works. But here's the problem. Most people hear this and still do nothing. They love the idea of mental toughness. They just don't want the friction that creates it. They want peace without discipline, confidence without proof, strength without resistance. Childish. You do not become calm by chasing calm. You become calm by becoming harder to shake. That means less dopamine, more reality, less emotional theater, more deliberate action. You don't need to become emotionless. That's fake stoicism. You need to become less obedient to every passing emotion. That is real freedom. Imagine what happens when bad news no longer destroys your day. When a setback becomes information instead of identity collapse. When discomfort stops controlling your decisions. When your mood no longer runs your life like a drunk CEO. That's the upgrade. You become dangerous in the best possible way. Steady, clear, hard to manipulate, hard to distract, hard to break. Most people spend years trying to fix their life circumstances while ignoring the one thing that interprets all of it. Their mind. Wrong target. Build the mind first. The rest gets easier. But even if you do that, there's still one problem. A strong mindset means nothing if your environment keeps destroying your focus every 5 minutes. You can be calm, disciplined, and still lose because your brain is addicted to distraction. That's why the next video should be how to rewire your brain for deep focus and kill the dopamine loops making you weak. Because if you can control your attention, now it gets unfair.